All right. So this is the fourth dream of the year. A lot of dreams seem to be that it would be a you have to be there to really understand it kind of situation. And this might fall into one of those. But because I got a lot out of it, maybe you can too, if anyone ever listens. To me, doesn't really matter if anyone does or not. Those are just my dream journals. And so here we go. Essentially, this evening, I had traveled for work to a different city. Anyway, and in this dream, there was an underwater dragon, and its nose or snout was disproportionately longer. It wasn't a normal looking dragon. Its snout was really long, and not only was it long, but it was really thin. And the idea in the dream was that, hey, this thing had evolved perfectly to be able to sneak its snout in between rocks and cracks and get what it needed to eat out of it. It was also intelligent. Couldn't talk or anything like that, but it was smart, and you could tell that it was smart and that it had a consciousness that allowed it to think. And so, eventually, he got out of these underground tunnels and places where it normally lived looking for food, and it got above ground. And it started chasing me and the person I was with. So we ran into this building, and he was closing in behind us and getting close. Always just like he was smelling and hunting us out. Well, we kept looking for alleyways and openings and courtyards, and we were jumping in between buildings and in and out of, rooms. And so, as we were running through this huge complex of buildings, trying to get away from this dragon that was trying to get us, the idea was that we needed to keep moving and we needed to get deeper inside. The more inside that we got, the better off we would be. And so we needed to look for ways to get deeper into the buildings, into the complexes, into just inside. We had to get inside. So we went into one room, and then through that one room, there was a door that went to another. And so we would go through that one, and we would have to make decisions quickly. As soon as we entered a room, you would analyze it really quickly, and then you would have to make a decision. And so as soon as we got into a room, we looked around, we would find the door that we thought would lead us into essentially the more inner part of any building. Or, in some cases, you would open up this door and it would be a courtyard open to the sky above, which you wanted to get out of quick. You don't want to just some dragon dropping in from above. But you would analyze it quick and then you would make a decision. And so as we were running in and out of all these rooms, just trying to get deeper and deeper into this huge complex of buildings and rooms, the dragon was trying to solve this puzzle of getting the dragon, to us, which was, what it was made for. It wanted to hunt and, get what it needed. But eventually the puzzle that it figured out was all of these walls were just sheetrock, and that breaking through it was fairly easy for, this dragon. We could have run through the walls as well, probably would have hurt us, but for him, no big deal. And as we saw or comprehended in a dreamlike fashion that this dragon was figuring it out, and he was figuring out that he just needed to run through these walls to get to us, essentially, we knew that we had to get to a safer place. And so from this one room we were in when we had this realization, we ran through this door and it opened into this courtyard again, which we hated in this dream. Like, why do we keep running into these courtyards? Worst place. And on the other side of this courtyard, the walls were made of glass. And it just showed that that glass was the exterior of the building. We hadn't gotten deeper into the inside. We had run all the way straight through and got to the other side. And on this glass wall at the far side, there was an elevator, which was also made of glass. And so, essentially, we ran to that. we pushed that button in a panic, just like, let's get. We want to get from here all the way down to the bottom floor. We want to get lost in a new floor. And so off we ran to this. But our glass elevator started going down, and instead of stopping at a new level, it just sank all the way down to the bottom, which was not how it was supposed to work. And we were concerned about it. So with this concerned feeling, we looked up and we realized that the line connecting the pulley system to this elevator had been released. And so the weights, they wouldn't work anymore. They wouldn't allow us to go down any further than we had already gotten to. There was also no basement on this building, and so we couldn't even get in the basement to get away from the dragon. Essentially, we dropped down into just a 7-foot hole in the ground that wouldn't allow the elevator to open up the doors, and it wouldn't allow us to go any further. We were just trapped in a glass box in a hole in the ground. And at this moment, we realized that the whole time the dragon had planned for this to happen, and it had kept chasing us through these things to design this path that would land us in this elevator and it would drop us down. And so it laughed at us as we, tried to figure a way to get out. It grabbed the elevator cable and then it started flying away with us. And the only thing that at that point we had a choice to do was to either try to reason with this dragon, try to convince it to keep us alive, or let us go. Obviously that was our goal. That's what we wanted, to try to reason with it. But the dragon wanted to keep us alive until it was hungry. And so it was just collecting people. And that was the end of the dream. Essentially, it was this feeling in the dream that it was running, and the weakness of us in this scenario was essentially trying to outrun and outsmart the dragon. Should we try to run and hide when scary things are happening? Or should you change the circumstances that you're living in? Hiding or deceiving leads to traps, essentially. So it was like, for me, it's like, hey, in what way in my life am I running from this destructive power? And instead of just realizing, hey, this is a destructive power, should I continue to play this game? I kept trying to hide myself from the destructive power. And it's this engagement with the destructive forces that are, instead of trying to be honest about the situation and less reactive to it and making a plan. The dragon had a plan the whole time. We did not. Because we didn't have a plan, we ended up trapped, and we were at the mercy of essentially an entity that only wanted to consume us when it felt like it was ready to. And so I was like, hey, for me, waking up, I got to look at my life. In what way, essentially, it invited me to look at, in what way am I being deceptive to myself and trying to hide the things that I need to look at that are keeping me from being in charge of where I end up and where I'm going to. So for me, it was a cool one. Hopefully you get something out of it. If you did, cool. Let me know. No, that's cool too. All right. Take care, guys.